All right. What is up, everybody? I must have scratched my forehead or something. All right. What is up? Welcome back to another Thursday night live stream here on Drums and Drams. Happy to report, if anybody wondered or cared, I'm finally back, I would say, to 100% in terms of the last 3 weeks being sick. Last week I was probably like 75, 80%. And now I am, I feel like I'm back in business. I feel like my palate is back together. Got some more energy. Been able to get some more stuff done just work-wise around the house, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that is good. And it's perfect timing because tomorrow night is the next round of Matt Madness. The box is here. It is unopened. I'll open it tomorrow on Matt's stream, but it's the quarterfinals, right? I don't think it's the semifinals. I think it's the quarterfinals. I am really looking forward to that. So in the spirit of Matt Madness, tonight I'm going to be doing a blind flight on the stream. That is going to be, I think, you know, pretty typically I do it at the end of the stream. That is what I'm going to do tonight as well. So I will be good and liquored up by the time I get to the blind flight, and hopefully that presents a little more of a challenge. It's like fighting with one hand tied behind your back, you know, trying to do a blind flight when you're already a little tipsy. Although sometimes it actually works out a little better. You feel a little more free, a little more creative. But anyways, I hope everybody's having a good week. As you jump in here, hit that like button. No giveaway this evening. It's all about the whiskey tonight, which is kind of nice. Get the giveaway stuff. Give that a little bit of a break. With me being in and out on live streams over the last month, I feel like I should not have a giveaway until I'm back to being more consistent. So let me check the chat, see who's in here. And then I'm going to have a first pour, which I need to get a few more extra glasses down. Give me just a second. All right, we're going to get started with a little Eagle Rare as usual. Last week I veered away from this and I immediately regretted it. So let's get into some Eagle Rare to kind of get the palate warmed up. Jay, first thing I see is the word enema spelled terribly wrong. Did you guys see the Travis Barker ad for the Liquid Death Enema of the State box set? I thought that was pretty funny. If you don't know what I'm talking about, be careful when you look up the word enema, I guess. Little Eagle Rare. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for hanging out tonight. And thanks for, you know, spending at least some part of your Thursday evening with me and with everybody else in the chat. Not the best Eagle Rare pick, but I've been trying to drink the ones that I don't like as much. I have one favorite. I'm trying to go to the other ones. It's tough. You know, when you have that one that you really like, you got to make it last. Sugar Kitty, what is up? Kilco is here. Steel 11. Are you slammered? Patrick Corrigan. Joe the Sample Guy. John W. Travis. Cam's ready to slay Friday. Let's hope so, man. I haven't been able to do any blinds to train recently just because of being sick. But, you know, last year during Matt Madness, I was not training either, and it worked out well. So I was training, I think, in the first season of Matt Madness pretty heavily when I lost degrees. The Bourbon Lane, David, the champ is back. We'll see about that. I hope so, though. Steven says a little pre-Friday cheers. I know, cheers to that. I've had the week off, getting some stuff done. Back to, you know, playing concerts next week. But it has been nice, I'll say that. Shauna, what's up? Hey, I think your package should have arrived. William Molnar's package should have arrived. Everybody that I owed packages to should have them at this point. And if for some reason I owe somebody a package, Paul Graham as well, if I owe you a package and you don't have it, reach out to me. Either it's a shipping thing or somehow I forgot about it, but I don't think so. I think everybody is good to go. Clay, what's up? Good. Look at that. I'm on time for once. Good evening, Cam. Everyone sipping on a Maker's Private Select from Rarebird 101. Nice. Not a Maker's guy, but I respect those who do enjoy that. Paul Graham, drinking some Jack Daniel's twice barreled, worth the $2.40 I paid. I haven't tried that one yet, Paul. We're going to get into a little scotch tonight, actually. So, Paul, I think you'll be excited about that, as well as some other folks in here. I've got this, I I guess I should tell you what we're going to be drinking tonight. But I have this Distiller's Art that I just picked up. Before the stream, I went over to my local shop. I grabbed the Old Elk Cigar Cut. I've been seeing a lot of chatter about this online. People not wanting to pull the trigger because it's $130. And I don't think there's... I mean, there are some reviews out there, but I haven't seen any from like some of the bigger channels. And so I thought, let's do a live first opening, first impression of this Old Elk Cigar Cut. But first, I'm going to dive into a little bit of Scotch first because I want to get that on my palate at the beginning of the stream and then move over to bourbon and other whiskeys. So we've got this Distiller's Art Craigellachie 13 year. All right, so this is a sherry finished, definitely a refill sherry butt, given, judging by the color. Craigellachie 13 year. I've got a sample of a Craigellachie 12 from Cadenheads, 46%. We'll dive into that. Maybe get to this Tam Dew sample tonight. We'll see. My friend Frank just dropped these samples off, and I'm excited for the Tam Dew. I just don't know if I'm going to get to it this evening. We'll see how this all goes. Then moving on to the Old Elk, and finally the Blind Flight at the end of the stream. Alex Quintero says, "Hey Cam, hope you're doing well. What's the best recommendation for a new bourbon for an experienced drinker?" Gosh, a new bourbon recommendation for an experienced drinker. What do you guys think in the chat? Let me turn around and look real quick. I'm thinking availability. You want something $100, let's say $120 or less. That's decently available. Man. You know what I was impressed by last week was the Green River Wheated. As an everyday sipper, I think the Green River Wheated was a great bottle. Yeah, and then, I'm curious about some of these new Jack Daniel's releases that are coming out. Keep an eye out for those. As far as single barrels go, gosh, I feel like I'm blanking. What do you guys think in the chat? I mean, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof for sure. I scrolled all the way down. David says ECBP. That's totally my pick. A123 was a great batch. But I feel like, Alex, if you're an experienced drinker, you probably have already had ECBP. So, I don't know. Yeah, I see Clay is talking about finished bourbon or rye. Finish is typically a favorite, says Alex. Well, you know what? On that note, stick around for this Old Elk Cigar Cut tonight. Shameless plug. Hey, look at that. That worked out. But seriously, I have high hopes for this, given what's going on with it, but I've got to get through some Scotch first. Sugar Kitty, the Tam Dew is a Distiller's Art pick from the state of Ohio, 14-year, 61.8%. So a mother of a pour. Jay says cigar blend, Joseph Magnus. Yes, but the new batches aren't quite what the old ones used to be, at least in my opinion. I think the older batches were a little bit better. Alex, one thing to look out for, Lucky 7, 14 and 15-year store picks. Great option. You are going to pay $150 for them. Those are really, really good. And I saw something from Brian, Abandoned Bourbon, Brian Bikey, about the exceptional cask. Is that what they're called? From Rare Character. These are malt whiskeys that he says are ridiculous. I saw an Instagram clip about an hour ago. So keep your eyes peeled. Jay says, okay, Enema, I was trying to be discreet. Sugar Kitty, you don't owe me anything, but I offered to send you some Scotch. Emailed you twice. Oh, I will get back to you. I apologize. Sean, sorry I took so freaking long on that, but I'm glad you got them. Jason says 4 Eagle Rares coming your way Friday. I know, or just Knob Creek store pick, right? Paul, thank you, man. There's no giveaway tonight, but Paul's still throwing in 100 to support the channel. Cheers to that, man. I really appreciate you, Paul. Freaking incredible. Hope you enjoy some of the stuff I sent your way as well. I think I just swallowed like a fuzzy or something in my glass. Wow. And then Clay, before we get into the Scotch here, one of the last things I'll pull up here is Clay saying, or maybe explore or broaden your reach into specific distilleries, backtrack and try some lower proof options. That's a great point, Clay, because, one thing I think that's important is understanding a distillery profile from the ground up. Often we get into a distillery, a Heaven Hill, a Four Roses. You might start with Four Roses single barrel. Relatively affordable, $45 bottle. I think it's a great choice. If you go over to like a Heaven Hill, you might go Elijah Craig barrel proof, but maybe you've never tried some of the cheaper options like the Four Roses small batch, the yellow label on the Heaven Hill side. You know, some of the bottled in bonds, things like that. Work your way back down, kind of understand the foundation of the house, you know? I think then you can more holistically understand what that distillery is putting out. And to that point, let's get into this. Let's get into a little bit of scotch here to start the stream. I know some of the bourbon drinkers might be like, oh man, if you want to come back in 20 minutes, you know, when we're on to some bourbon, totally understand. But I think the distillery that I'm going to focus on today, which goes right along with that point of understanding distillery character, the distillery is Craigellachie. And I think Craigellachie is a bourbon drinker friendly scotch. So if you are not into scotch, or maybe you're scotch curious, let's call it that, you might consider Craigellachie as a first choice, because I think it's going to be a little different than some of the things that you may have already tried, your Glenmorangie, Glenlivet, Glenfiddich, 10 and 12-year initial expressions. Maybe you're not a fan. I think Craigellachie brings a little something extra to the table with their standard expression. Today, I don't have their standard expression. I have 2 single cask bottlings. All right. One of them I just picked up today. The other, a sample from a friend who may or may not be sipping along right now. Frank, if you're doing that, I appreciate you, man. All right. Let's get into it. Clay Scotch. I experimented once in college. Turkey 101 at the lower proof level, says Sugar Kitty. Evan Williams, 1783. So this is still one that I've never tried, Clay. Still never tried that bottle for some reason. Alex says, sipping on the Green River now. Is it the standard or the wheated? But yeah, I'm impressed by Green River. Even at that 90 proof, man. Sugar Kitty says, of course, Tamdu is one of the things I was offering. I'll get back to you, I promise. I'm sorry, I've been terrible. This last month has been just so hit or miss for me. Brian says, I can help you drink some of that whiskey. I know. I bet you can. All right. So real quick, let's try out this from my friend Frank. This is a Cadenhead's bottling of Craigellachie, 12 years old, 46%. And judging by the color, I would say this is probably all bourbon casks. New refill, but all bourbon. There's not any color going on with this one that would hint towards, a sherry or a port cask. I have a port finished Craigellachie back here as well, a 14-year, but I've already tasted that on the channel, so I'm not going to bring that out today. All right, a little bit kind of standard. I know we're talking Speyside Distillery here. There's kind of like a standard Speyside sweetness to this, Nella wafer, honey vanillas, these kinds of things. But there's also something else in here that's kind of like glue. A little bit of like this Elmer's glue note to this Craigellachie. Some good spice, good oak spice in here. But yeah, I can't get over this glue note in Craigellachie. And one thing that Craigellachie has, which a lot of people attribute this note to the worm tubs that they use, is kind of like this sulfurous texture, this sulfurous note in there. I kind of refer to it more as a texture that I get, but definitely kind of this grittiness, this industrial quality with some of these Craigellachie's. Yeah, and I think that's coming through here as well. There's also a little bit of a staleness to this, like stale bread. Or stale breath, even. Like kind of bad breath. That's a weird note. All right. That's so good on the palate. Because it does have that standard kind of... Ooh, there's a little fruitiness in there too. Kind of like a little bit of like this fig thing in here, like syrup. no date, fig, something, some kind of syrupy, darker, slightly dry fruit that I wasn't expecting. But the one thing I like about this on the palate right away, even though it's a little bit of a shorter finish at the 46%, is just that there's that interest from that sulfur note, that little industrial textured thing going on in here. Bear Doyle says it might be your own breath coming back into your nose. True that. I just had some shrimp tacos, so you know. What's up, Matt Porter? Can't wait for tomorrow night, man. Keith Thompson, I was hesitant but bought a Templeton Stout finish today. I don't think I've had anything like that. Interesting. You know, I have the Founders KBS Stout finish. I thought it was a fine whiskey. I didn't think it was anything special, but still interesting. Before we keep going here, guys, please hit that like button as you jump in. Would be much appreciated. Just quickly hit that like button. Let's get a few more folks hanging out tonight. I think I said Elmer's Glue. I'm also getting kind of like pink eraser in this. You know, those fat pink erasers that you had in elementary school? And along with that, kind of a slight hint of a bubble gum in the background. All in all, pretty good. I could sit and nose this for a while. There's a lot of layers, even for this 46% 12-year-old Craigellachie. A lot of layers to it. Maybe even something kind of dairy-like, a little lactic in here too. That's way underneath, I think. All right, one more sip. What are you guys sipping on this evening? Let me know in the chat what you have. Any new pickups? I've been going out to stores a little bit more recently than I have in the past few months. Just kind of scoping out what is being released that's allocated, that's not immediately flying off the shelves because I'm not there waiting in those lines. But the stuff that hangs around, I've been just kind of keeping my eyes open. Ohio's a control state, of course, so it's not like other states. Excuse me. But some interesting stuff, I would say. So much finished, so much French oak finished, toasted, these kinds of things. Derek says, water my glass tonight. Brutal cold flu going on. I know, man. That's exactly what I was dealing with. I hope you feel better. Jeez. Enjoy a pour something nice for me. I will try tonight. We've got maybe something in the blind will be really nice. Louis says, pink eraser and Elmer's Glue. Not sure I'd try that. Yeah, I think in Scotchland, those are like interesting things that aren't immediately bad. If you said that for a bourbon, I would be more concerned. DC's having last of his Lob Creek. God, that's a bottle that I wish I would have gotten, man. I really liked the sample that I had of that. I think my wife is home. She says, don't worry, I wasn't stabbed. I just spilled paint on myself. And she sent me a selfie. And yeah, if I would have walked out of this room and saw what she looks like right now, I would have cut the stream off and driven her to the hospital. Jesus. Wow, that's frightening. She goes painting on Thursday nights, so. My mom is sipping champagne. Andre $7.99. Oh, geez, Mom. Come on. All right, we're going to move on to this Distiller's Art Craigellachie before we get to this Old Elk. Again, hit that like button if you're jumping in here tonight. We are moving on to some bourbon right after this. But this Craigellachie is 13 years old. This is at cask strength, 55.3% ABV. Let me give a little close-up look at this. Cheech, I'll get that in just a sec. There you go. Let's see if I can get the light to stop shining on it so close. There we go. So you can see here, distilled 08, bottled 2022, aged in a single sherry butt, non-chill filtered, no added color. 650 bottles, so that tracks with being a sherry butt. Again, 55.3% ABV. Doesn't mention, like, if it's a refill cask. Clearly it is. It doesn't mention if it's second, third, fourth fill, etc. or any other information, whether this is Oloroso Sherry, Pedro Jimenez. So we don't really know. Man, that smells very good. Very, very good. This is an Ohio State barrel pick. Typically, those picks are more disappointing than they are good. It just depends on who's picking them. They have different folks coming in to pick some of these barrels. And, you know, Ohio is also not really known for doing a lot of Scotch picks, so I don't have high expectations for this, but I picked it up just before the stream started. Are you Schlammered sipping on some rare breed? Good tried and true. Good tried and true pour right there. Callie Reynolds drinking some Driftless Glen bourbon tonight. Very, very good choice. Sparky 2416, Michter's Small Batch. That was one of my very first bourbons that I went to. It was like my daily sipper. I still have a decanter full back there. It used to be the house whiskey. Clay says, Founder Stout finish was a bit underwhelming to my palate. The Bardstown, I would agree with that. Yeah. Just didn't really have anything special going on. What's up, Bruzel? Bruzel is crushing the Whiskey YouTube game. He's killing it, man. So everybody here's already subscribed to Bruzel, so I'm not going to say go subscribe to Bruzel because you guys already are. But what's up, man? TJ's killing it over there. Amy Bohm, good to see you. And let's see, Cheech, I want to get to this. Are you coming to Michigan for Pours in the Park? Cheech, I am RSVP'd, hotel booked, everything like that. I have some concerts that week, and I've never, ever taken work off at the orchestra. And so, you know, it's at the end of the summer. They're not big concerts, and I think it would be okay for me to take them off. I might be able to work it out that I can just come up anyways because of the timing with everything, but it would be cutting it close, and I don't know if I want to do that. But yeah, my goal is to be at Pours in the Park more than just one day, which is worst case scenario. I want to be there the whole time for the VIP thing and like the creator meetup and everything else that it sounds like is going to happen. It was so fun last year. Oh my God. All right. Craigellachie 13, just real quick here. 55.3% Distiller's Art. I'm not super familiar with this independent bottler. So let's see what we get. Might throw in a little water too at the cask strength, you know. First thing I get is big ethanol punch on the nose, so this thing might need a little bit of water. But I actually get kind of an antique store, like dusty book, almost like a dusty bourbon note on this scotch, which I dig. I like that a lot. You can tell that there's some sherry cask influence in this because you get some red fruits, some darker fruits, but it's actually kind of masked by spice and by just the proof of the whiskey right now. So I think maybe that'll change after I take my first sip, go back to the nose. That's a good strategy if the whiskey's hot. If it's too hot, drink it. I mean, but seriously, that will kind of solve the problem. It opens up your senses to it, I think, and you can start to dig in a little bit more on the nose before you start adding water. I think you should try everything neat before you add water, in my opinion. All right. Wow. Wow, that is strong. Sometimes sherry finishes can come off like port. They get really, really like juicy raisin notes. What juicy raisin? That's kind of an oxymoron. But you get a lot of big syrupy raisin notes on port finishes. But some sherry finishes can get there too. And I don't know if it's, you know, really wet casks or what the situation is with that. Being a refill cask, that's kind of interesting for this one. Super thick and syrupy on the palate. It's good, but to me, one issue that I have with some scotches, or bourbons for that matter, when you finish them, put them in a secondary barrel, is that sometimes you taste the whiskey over here and you taste the finish component over here. They don't commingle. Sometimes air will help that process. Sometimes a little water will help that process to bring it together. But right now, this feels like two different things on the palate. It feels like big, juicy port, honestly. And and then kind of just a high octane Craigellachie Scotch. All right, TJ, thanks for stopping in, man. Second sip, definitely a little better, coming together a little bit more, but I'm going to throw just a smidge of water in here. The finish has really kind of overtaken this whiskey, and it is definitely non-chill filtered. This thing is full of flock. It's a good thing. One thing for you guys to keep an eye out if you're on Instagram is Heaven Hill has been running this ad about non-chill filtered and chill filtered whiskey, and you swipe over on Instagram and it shows you the difference just looking through a flask. You know, with good lighting, you can see clear spirit for chill filtered, and you can see spirit with flock, non-chill filtered. I think this is good because to see a company kind of educating consumers on social media about this seems to me like they could be gearing up to do more non-chill filtered stuff. Like, I don't know, but I thought that was interesting nonetheless to see a company educating consumers on that. All right, let me throw a little water in this. Sugar Kitty says there are fruity sherries and dry sherries. So besides the amount of influence based on the wet cask, there's also sherry type. PX versus Oloroso is the biggest difference. This to me feels like PX. This does not necessarily have that kind of drier Oloroso nutty thing going on. This feels particularly sweet. I could be wrong, but it's sticky sweet on the palate, just like almost like caramel, some sort of like caramel and fruit reduction sauce mixed together. Yeah, little water does this thing wonders. Bubble bath bourbon. Finish, not balanced with the whiskey. What a perfect segue into good times. Yeah, I have this good times on the table for a reason. For a reason. Sugar Kitty says, flocculation goes away with 92 proof anyway. Just give us reasonable proof. That's all we need. Yeah. All right. So I think this is good. It needs a little bit of water to help it out. You know, a little bit of work on your end as the consumer. So if anybody's watching this in Ohio that managed to pick up one of the 650 bottles of this Distiller's Art Craigellachie 13, you know, spend some time with it. I think it's good. It's not the best single cask Craigellachie I've had by any means, but I'm happy that Ohio's doing, you know, a run of single cask scotches. That's kind of nice to see. Hopefully we get some more of those. And the price wasn't terrible. I think it was like $120, $130. I don't know. Yeah, I think I like my port finish better, which was picked by the Whiskey Chamber. I snagged that bottle in Austria. I think the port finish is definitely a little bit better for my palate. All right, so Frank, thank you for the Craigellachie 12 sample if you're watching. Let's get into the Old Elk now. All right, so let's throw this up on the screen. I'm going to get a little sip of water. Maybe reorganize the table just a bit. All right. That's what we've got here. Get the Eagle Rare. So I'm going to move the scotches out of the way. So Old Elk gives the breakdown here on the cigar cut. I wish I could zoom in. I don't imagine that I can. That would be nice, though. So maybe you can see this. On the top, sherry cask finish. There are, well, let's just say first, there are 4 different finished high malt bourbons blended in here. Sherry cask, 1.5 year secondary age. Armagnac, 1.25 years. Then we have port and cognac with significantly shorter finishing times. And that's good because port can really overtake a whiskey. Cognac, I mean, I guess cognac can as well. They all can overtake it, but... All right. So this is coming in at around $130, which is a lot. I mean, I have not been the most avid purchaser of Old Elk products given the price points. Barrier to entry, cost of entry is like $89.99. I think that's insane. Because of that, and because there's such a glut of store picks hitting the market, I've never found anything to be really exciting. I had the Infinity Blend for 2021. Fine. And even that had some higher aged source stuff in there. I've just traditionally have not been a big Old Elk person. Sometimes it's the high malt. Sometimes it's the over finishing. The Armagnac finished version of Old Elk I thought was over finished. The sour mash was nothing special to me. Batch 3. So let's get into the cigar cut, which a lot of people have been talking about. They've been seemingly excited for this. Let's see if it lives up to the possible hype. All right. David Else, thank you for the $5 super chat. Much love. Too much Armagnac on the cigar cut. I'll look out for that. Let's see. Checking in if I missed anything. Okay. John, my bottle of the cigar cut was super fruity. Really liked it. Had some other fruit going on. Also not a mega Old Elk fanboy myself. Clay, silly question time. Cigar blends, cuts, etc. in theory are meant to pair with cigars, correct? Yes. It is I mean, it's both. It's meant to pair with cigars and it's a marketing thing. Who else has this? Obviously, Magnus Cigar Blend is probably the most famous American version of that. The most famous Scotch version of that is probably going to be Dalmore Cigar Blend, which is just fine. I mean, I don't find that to be particularly special. Excuse me. Peter says, I'd like to see how the Old Elk stacks up against... That's a good call. I don't have that Alter Ego cast strength. Okay. My pour of this Old Elk cigar cut has been sitting out for probably at least an hour. Well, I had a little bit left in the glass that had been sitting out for like an hour. I refilled it or poured on top of it, probably another 60%, you know. So this is kind of a mix of some of it's gotten air, some of it hasn't. I think this is going to, you know, be a good showing for what this is. Usually these finished bourbons, finished whiskeys need to have a little bit of airtime. So it's as much airtime as I could give it, having just picked it up about an hour before the stream. Proof on this is 55.3%. That's the same proof as that Craigellachie I just tasted. 55.3. Color. A nice dark color on this one. Not crazy dark, like we're not talking oil or coffee or anything like that, but still pretty dark. All right, let's see on the nose. Wow, that is that is like, that's just fruit. It's all fruit. Wow. All right. Joe, I had a cigar. Yes, the Starlight. I just got rid of mine, Joe, actually. The Amberana finish, which is very different than this. Yeah, mine was a total... For me, it was a drain pour. Yeah. Tim Tam Slam. I heard that the Old Elk Wheat and Rye, I just saw a picture of that online. Was a decent pour, but again, $100 costly bottle. Yeah. Wow. So this Old Elk is ridiculously finished. as you can tell, 4 different finishes blended in. Some of them up to a year and a half in the finishing cask. It just smells like fruit. Honestly, it smells more like a Scotch than it does a bourbon on the nose for me. Yeah, it's close. It's really close. But there's something about this when I think back to the Old Elk Armagnac finish, which I think I might have a sample of. Yeah. I actually would love to compare this to the Old Elk Armagnac finish. I kept a 100 ml flask, and then I got rid of... Either traded or sold locally my open bottle of this. But I kept a little bit in this flask. I'm glad I did. So I thought the Old Elk Armagnac finish was way over finished. And just the high malt thing, you know, just all these honey notes going on because of the malt felt weird to me. And yes, as I go back to it, I do get the Armagnac, but coming off of the cigar cut, it's almost not even noticeable because the cigar cut is so finished. But what stands out on the Armagnac finish is kind of like a cheap, grainy honey note. Just very young feeling on the nose. And the cigar cut has none of that. There's no youthfulness to me on the nose. It's all fruit. I actually kind of like it. I smelled it before the stream started, and I ran and I grabbed one of these Good Times. All right, because I thought maybe this is going to be comparable. It is that fruity. So we'll see. I like it. That's kind of good. Really spicy. And that's a good thing in the case of having such a finished whiskey. To have this much spice able to stand up to that finish. It's pretty well blended, I've got to say. I'm actually shocked how much I enjoy this whiskey. If any of you guys have tried it, let me know what you think. I'm shocked. David says, I got a Magnus 128 cigar. I think it's underwhelming. Yeah, the one sample I think Amy sent it was like 131, maybe? And I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to compare it to this, and I'll grab a regular cigar blend, too. I think under 96. Yeah, whatever that cutoff is, David, is all of those earlier bottles I think are better. Roscoe having Lefroy 10 and the nose is Granny Smith apples tonight. And Band-Aids, come on. And Band-Aids. Joe says, I literally just had my first pour with you. Picked it up last weekend in Louisville. Wasn't sure what to expect, but I dig it. Yeah, man. I actually like this stuff. Like, the thing is, Joe, there's actually a lot of oak on this, too. You know, I would have thought that the finishing would have wiped out all of the oak if there was any. I mean, this is, I believe they state this as at least 6 years old on their website. I think that's what it was. 6 years old, you're like, there might be some oak, but probably not a lot. And then with the finishing, you would expect no oak to survive that. This actually has a good oak presence to me. In two ways. It has kind of young, lumberyard oak, which typically I don't like. In this case, it cuts through the finishing with the spice notes. So like young oak, young wood, spice cutting through the finish, that helps the whiskey have some balance. But there's also some darker, like, age notes on this whiskey, too. Yeah, there's actually, like, sweet tobacco. I know maybe I'm being influenced by the fact that it's a cigar cut. But truthfully, I feel like there's a sweet tobacco note in here. But when I'm talking about fruits here, I mean, I'm getting everything from, like, plum, dark fruits, like plums, this kind of thing, all the way through all your red fruits, your jammy kind of notes, all the way to, like, watermelon. I'm even getting, like, some melon notes on this. It's kind of got a little bit of everything. When you swirl it, you're getting different things, too. A little bit of a meatiness to this, a little bit of a savory meatiness. I like it. I think it's good. I have to do a few comparisons to say whether or not I would recommend it at $130. That's the tough part about this. Not sure what the allocation is going to be like on this one. I'm not saying fall out of your chair, run to the store and buy this. At least right now, not yet. Let me check out a cigar blend. Let me check out, yeah, a newer and an older cigar blend, both. We'll do that. Yeah, a little umami going on in here. But to me, it's like, yeah, a little barbecue. A little barbecue is, I guess, what I would say. Clay says, sweet tobacco note from me is found more in my pipe tobacco. I would agree, yeah. And I'm not saying this... Yeah, when I said sweet tobacco, I wasn't necessarily referencing a cigar. It's not like that. I used to... in my really early years of college, I actually smoked a pipe with a buddy of mine. So I actually do have the experience of smoking pipe tobacco. Wow. I like that. I'm going to come back to it with some water. But for now, hang on. Is that the Old Elk Armagnac? Yeah. The Old Elk Armagnac is just not good. Especially at $90 plus tax. That can go back in the sample bottle. All right, I'm going to do this cigar blend comparison now, and I'll throw in the good times too. Because when you're dealing with something that's this heavily finished, you got to see if it stacks up to the most heavily finished stuff, flavored stuff on planet Earth. This is a rye, so it's a little, different. It's an MGP rye, basically blended with some sort of raspberry brandy flavoring or something. I don't know. Definitely not finished in a raspberry brandy barrel, let's say that. Let me get a few more glasses. Okay. Oh, wow, I think I've missed a few chats here. Good Lord. Yeah, guys, please hit that like button. We got 68 in here. That's great. I'm getting into this Old Elk. Time for a few side-by-sides before we move on to a blind flight. Sugar Kitty says, umami comes from sherry and the savory is meaty salt. Okay. Callie Reynolds, that Old Elk Cigar Cut is floating around Ohio this week, hoping to get a chance to pick it up. Yeah, Callie, I don't know, like what region, what area of Ohio you're in, but I just picked this up at Arena Wine and Spirits in Columbus. They didn't have it out when I got there, but I asked for it, and they had it behind the counter. So OHLQ seems to be accurate on that this week. There was a few places in Columbus, at least, that had it listed. Matt Strobel says, "Hey Cam, just joined the live stream. Cheers, man. Thanks for jumping in, saying hey." Okay. Right. So let me grab this Magnus cigar blend. So battle of the cigar blends, I guess. Oh, that's going to be funny. The good times is going to be funny. So what I've got is batch 61 cigar blend, which is 130.68 proof. So much higher proof than the Old Elk. All right. Batch 61 Magnus cigar blend, which I really have been enjoying, as you can see. Almost gone. And I'm going to put this up against the newer batch 131. All right. It's the remainder of my sample there. And then finally at the end, because of how overfinished, or not overfinished, because I actually like it, because of how finished the Old Elk is, let's throw in the Good Times. And if you don't know why the Good Times is a joke, I'm not going to rehash all of that right now, but it's basically flavored whiskey. Basically. David says, I'm jealous of that batch 61. Yeah, it's a great batch. I've got a 77 and an 83 unopened in my basement, which is the Freebird batch and the Return of the Dark one. And my other open batch is 58, the Darth Vader batch, which is very good. Nate says, watching tonight from the bonfire going through Cedar Ridge, regular bourbon, port finish, then double. Oh, nice. David, 131 going to get crushed like a grape. Yeah, probably. And you also said that I like it at 75 to 85, but at 130 it's overpriced. Okay, let's get into it. So Old Elk. It's really good. I can't wait to throw water in this. And actually, I know we're getting into summertime right now. I would love to check out this Old Elk Cigar Cut over ice. Like sitting around the fire, or, something like that. Drinking this over ice, it could actually be really good. I like that, man. I really... Shamelessly. All right, now... going up in proof, about 20 proof points to the Magnus Batch 61. That's hard to beat, Man, that is hard to beat. Batch 61 really smells like MGP to me. I know there was, Nancy was using a lot of Barton in these blends around this time. Like that old, really high proof Barton. But this, to me, has a really solid MGP profile to it. That kind of bright, floral, green rye quality to it, that you're going to get from an MGP bourbon. Floral is definitely the word here. And then the Armagnac finish on the cigar blend brings in a really nice balanced dark fruit note, as opposed to kind of the blowing out of the water that we have on the Old Elk. So the Old Elk is like heavier, darker, meatier all the way around, just a stronger profile, more brawny, I guess. Kind of yeasty too, and I think that's coming from the high malt aspect of that, of Old Elk. And then that Magnus, spicy, bright, more lively, yeah. So Magnus still wins, but think about what's going on here. The base whiskey in here is, I think, minimum 14 years old, super, super limited, 185 retail, whereas the Old Elk is 130. You would expect this to be better. It should be better, and it is. So that's cool with me. Is the Old Elk, let's say, a substitute for older Magnus cigar blend, before the newer batches have kind of gone a certain way, which we'll get into in a second with batch 131. Is it a good substitute? I think it's about as close as you're going to get in terms of cigar blend, cigar cut, and it's about as close as you're going to get from a product that is just completely different. There's nothing remotely similar in my book between the base whiskey of Old Elk and the base whiskey of this cigar blend. Half the age, even less than half the age for the Old Elk. High malt component, whereas this is going to be high rye component. So it's not comparable, and the fact that it's not comparable but still gets kind of close on the end result, that's pretty cool. All right? But if you want to get close to the actual flavor profile of this Magnus, I would think of like an older MGP single barrel. That's probably going to get you closer just based on profile alone. Allegedly. Allegedly is the word. I think that was referencing the Good Times. Now, let's go back down in proof. The newer cigar blends are much lower proof. 114 for batch 131. So now we're only slightly above the Old Elk proof. So let's see now newer cigar blend versus Old Elk Cigar Cut. Newer cigar blend is the same price as the older stuff, at least like 185 SRP. Again, Old Elk 130. All right, on the nose. I'll say this. The batch 131 cigar blend is better than I remember it being, but it's still not close to the 61. I'm getting... If you guys have ever had the drink Squirt, just low-hanging fruit, you know? If you've ever had the drink Squirt, this reminds me of that. And what am I talking? Basically citrus notes, you know, brighter citrus notes. Yeah, the MGP's coming out of here, green apple peel. And I think Nancy said she went to a higher MGP content, although it feels significantly younger. And on the website, we've lost the age statements on these newer batches. But all in all, it's just a little bit flat. It doesn't have the kick. Short finish. Not a big fruit punch, you know, that you're getting from both of the previous two. Back to the Old Elk now. I mean, it's not even a question. The Old Elk completely dominates the newer cigar blend. Old Elk Cigar Cut, for my money, $50 cheaper if you find the Magnus at SRP. The Old Elk is $50 cheaper. Typically, people find it around $250 on the shelf. That's double the price. I'm going Old Elk. Now, if I find an older Magnus, maybe whatever it is, batch 96 or before, whatever that cutoff, I'm going older Magnus, and I'm paying the upcharge. But this Old Elk's pretty impressive. Coming back to it, I'm getting lots of chocolate notes on it now, dark chocolate. The Magnus smells like a slightly upgraded version of a 6-year OKI high rye pick, which is MGP. So, last but not least, let's go to the Good Times, which smells like candy or an ice cream. You can smell the sugar. Wow. I mean, there's a time and a place for that. It's like dessert. It's like spicy dessert. Eesh. Well, the Old Elk is not close to that, which is good. That's all that I wanted to examine. We don't need to dive any more into that Good Times. It just tastes like cheap raspberry candies. But moral of the story, I think at $130 the Old Elk is overpriced. I would like to see this bottle at $100, which is where some of the others are. I think this is the best Old Elk I've ever had. I've not had the double wheat. I haven't had some of the what's the other one? The 4-grain. Then there's the wheat and rye. I haven't had any of those. But to me, this is like top of what I've had from Old Elk. $100 is where I feel like it should sit. But if you're looking at this, you're looking at this versus like a Dalmore cigar blend versus a newer Magnus with the younger stuff in there. I'm going Old Elk for right now. So final answer. To me, this is light years ahead of the Armagnac finish. And I would imagine that it's probably going to be the same case with a lot of the individual finishes. The sherry, the cognac, the Armagnac, what's the other one? Port. I think this is great blending. It's good. It's good. Old oak on that too, man. David says, I have a cigar blend batch 148 at 249. I'm not doing it, man. I'm just not doing it. And Nancy has agreed to come on. We talked in a live chat, some weeks ago. I want to bring her on and talk about it and just have like an open dialogue. I think transparency is key. I think Nancy is super transparent about things. So she talks about this. She's on Reddit replying. She's in YouTube comment threads. She's in live streams. She's just a really cool person to talk to. I think Nancy would be totally forthcoming about it, and I would love to know what's going on with the newer cigar blends. What's in the blend? What's the finishing like? Are the casks the same quality from the same place? Is production increasing, and is that the reason why maybe the casks are lesser? We have to source more whiskey to keep up with the blends. I don't know, but the Old Elk, man, if 130 is not a lot to you, if this is within your budget, I say pick it up. I really do. Wow. All right. Let's do a blind flight. Give me just a sec to change over. Get the blind pours up here. Let's change the music. What do we got? Magnus. I'm going to save this Magnus sample. It's good to revisit this sample in a comparison like the one we just did. The Old Elk. We can get out of here. Magnus batch 61. That's going to go back in the bottle. Actually, I'll save that for my final pour tonight. It's a good one. And that's the good times. Which is not a good time. I think we're good. Now it is blind flight time. So some folks are probably going to go over to the Like Time Whiskey at 9 p.m. If you do, thank you for being here. If you jump back and forth, whatever you want to do this evening is great. I know Dan and Julie are celebrating, what was it, their 28th anniversary, something like that. So that's cool. Congrats to them. We're going to get into this blind flight tonight. On your way out, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, would really, really help. Amy says Nancy sounded like at least 131 was not her favorite, but she has to work with the barrels available. Yeah. Oh, wow. I see a darkly colored super chat. Hang on one second, and I will get to that. Just trying to set up these blind pours. Oh, geez. Okay, I think we're almost there. Sorry, guys. Little Eagle Rare, last of that glass. To get the palate ready for this blind. All right, here we go. John Seppi says, cheers, Cam Crack, Stag Batch 16 for my birthday. Yeah, Stag 16 is up here. It's, that one right there. So I've gotten rid of a few open Stag Juniors recently. I've just been selling off bottles locally, like open bottles, just clearing out stuff that I've got that I just don't touch. Stag Batch 18 was one of those. I think I sold my Batch 15 as well. But 16 I kept because I really like 16. I'm not going to put that on the screen, but I appreciate that. Scott, damn, already missed first hour spent and past hour trying to find Hardin's Creek Jacob Well. Total Wine to find out it was in the back room, and I need manager approval. Oh, that stinks. Scott, that's a great bottle. Toshi, what is up, man? Thank you for the $50 super chat, dude. I really appreciate it. Hope you're good, man. Life's been crazy and been sick more than I'd like the last month, so missed some of your streams. Dude, me too. I've been friggin' dealing with this for 3 weeks, and I'm back finally tonight. I feel like at 100%. Still haven't sent the samples I bottled for you. Dude, don't worry. Don't worry about it. I appreciate it, Toshi. I can't wait to get those. Taste some of them on live streams, some for videos, everything else, so. Joe, I was potentially allegedly intoxicated. Potentially allegedly is like, it's like a double maybe. When I bought this old Elk Cigar Cut last weekend, I literally thought it was 80. Yeah, it was probably 130 or so. Oh, Lord. Tim Tam Slam. Cam, have your feelings changed on George T. Stagg 2022? Let's see. My complaint was hot and grassy. This is all I've got left, so I was going to let Sarah try this, but I guess we'll just do this right. I mean, she could still come try it. Hang on. Hey, you want to try George T. Stagg 2022? Well, it's about to be gone, so. I'll get more somehow. I don't know how, but maybe. Sarah just brushed her teeth and put in her nighttime retainers, so no George T. Stagg for her. All right, before we get to the blind flight, I guess we're drinking George T. Stagg. It's still a little hot. I mean, it's 138.7 proof, though, if I remember. Yeah, 138.7. I will say this. To me, the nose has calmed down a little bit. That really kind of sticky red fruit candied thing going on. But to me, it's just a little bit unbalanced on the nose with that ethanol. But I like it a lot more now than I did. So kudos on that. The grassiness for me came in on the finish. So let's see. Oh, the palate is... Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good, actually. Oh, man, I like that. And I still have enough for Sarah. There's the grassiness. It took that long. I don't know what that was, like 12 seconds, 15 seconds. Yeah, not quite as pronounced. And I think part of that is because I haven't been drinking whiskey over the last 3 weeks. So my palate's, it's clear, but it's not like attuned to everything right now. But it's not as offensively strong on my palate, that grassy finish. I like it a lot better now than I did when I first tried it. And when I made that review video. So there's been a lot of, the air to whiskey ratio in this sample bottle. There's been a lot of air in here for the last month and a half. And maybe that has something to do with it. The best part about it is smelling the glass after the fact. Awesome. So, all right. Well, now I'm going to go into a blind flight after drinking George T. Stagg. So that's not fair. It's also not helpful. Toshi says the older and higher proof Barton batches reached their height around batch 60/Darth Vader. Yeah, Darth Vader was 58. That makes sense. So 61. I mean, 61 felt really MGP heavy. Maybe that's... I have 61 and 58 open, and they are pretty different to me. Maybe it has to do with the Barton percentage in each of them. Yeah, but Toshi, the recent batches, man, they're just younger. They've got to be. Yeah, Amy, it's time to get dialed in. So let me grab my notebook. Get the notebook and get the fancy Amazon pen. So that means it's not fancy. We'll get a fresh page. There we go. What's the date? 4/27? Guys, I ordered new tambourines. I know you're like, that sounds stupid. Yeah, kinda. I ordered new tambourines. I ordered a few new tambourines. There's a reason that I ordered those that I can't talk about on this stream. But I have to, I need them for a particular thing. And tambourines aren't cheap. Like when you get like orchestral tambourines, these are between $200 and $350 a piece. So I mean, in whiskey terms, that's like not that much when you look at secondary prices on whiskey. It's like I could have this tambourine or a Joseph Magnus cigar blend. That's where my brain is at now. It never used to be that way. I used to look at a $200 tambourine and be like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. And now I'm like, that's like, I don't know. What's a $200 bottle? I don't know. That's like a Wild Turkey Master's Keep. It's like, oh, this is a Master's Keep or a tambourine. But I ordered a few tambourines, and the guy making them, it's not like a big business. It's one guy that custom makes these tambourines, and so I told him that my wife would probably not be happy that I ordered some of his tambourines because they were expensive. So he engraved on one of the tambourines Sarah's Wrath. I just thought that was funny. So that's going to get here tomorrow. I'm going to have the tambourine called Sarah's Wrath. He sent me a picture of the engraving this morning. Adam, I've got a review, I think, on this 2022 William LaRue. Had it last week. I think I loved the 2022 William LaRue. I think. Joe, how many cowbells? I think I probably have like 5 cowbells, so not that many. And then I've got a couple Almglocken, which are like legit bells that cows would wear with the clanker, or what do they call those on the inside of them? The clapper, I think is what you call them. All right. We got 5 pours on tonight's blind. And the stats that I'm going to be guessing tonight, I know Matt's doing all these crazy things now with these hardcore questions, but the stats I'm going to guess, 7 stats. And I'm going to write them at the top. Age, proof, type, finished or no, and if so, what's the finish? Distillery, bottle, and then grains. So Matt, and that's good that I'm doing this because Matt has been asking this year a lot about secondary grains. So we're gonna get into this now. Yeah, Adam says tambourine makes money. Whiskey ends up in the toilet. Exactly. You don't pee out a tambourine. Keith Thompson says, fix the hole in my roof or buy a 4-gauge. Isn't it funny to think in those terms? I don't know. It's like, buy a Highland Park 50 or buy a Mercedes. Actually, I don't think Highland Park 50 is quite at the Mercedes level. I can't remember. I think it's a 25K bottle. Anyways. All right. Let's do this. It's 3 weeks, probably at least, since a blind flight. So let's get the system ready, which is the close-up camera. There we go. So I think we're going to be focused. I need to get that test card. Hang on. Okay. Let's get that focused. There we go. There we go. So now, all right, we'll get my cursor here to solo this. Turn my head now. Pull it up. Solo on the screen. All right, so this is what's in glass number 1. We're about to get into this. 3, 2, 1. And this goes down. I'll turn my head back. All right. Put the test card over here. So let's get into glass number 1. See what Sarah has got concocted. Not a big pour here, so I got to be careful. This is probably like 3/4 of an ounce. Very, very bright fruit notes. Proof is not particularly high. Thinking like in the 104. Yeah, 100 to 105 range on proof for this. Louise says top tier production level. Thank you. That's all. I appreciate it. This feels like it could be finished, actually, because of this bright fruit note. It's a little banana, but in a weird way. Like, it's not a distinct Barton Old Forester banana note. I hate to say this. I don't want to bottle guess right away. And I'm not going to let this influence me too much because this is such a random bottle guess. I'm not going to put too much stock into this thought. But if I swear to God, if this is right and I guess against this at the end, I'm going to be pissed. Old Forester 117 series Warehouse H barrels. This has this combination of this weird, like bright pineapple tropical fruit thing that I got from that bottle. Like black pepper, banana, yeasty, like this. It's a weird bottle. This reminds me of that. So that's just a random thought. To me, it feels finished. Also, please, no spoilers in the chat. No spoilers. Don't talk about the bottles I show on the cards when I turn my head. Don't talk about bottles similar to them. Don't ask questions about those. Just keep it cool. Louise says, how often are these streams? Every Thursday night. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. Oh, what is up? Your flannel, whiskeychannel.com. Tomorrow night. Your flannel game is on point. Thank you. I try. It's really Sarah's flannel game because she bought me this for Christmas. All right. So yeah, this is a weird one. Glass one right away. It's feeling lower proof to me. I thought 105, 100 to 105. It might even be lower than that. Possible finish. It feels like a bourbon. It hangs around a little while. I would say that's probably 100 proofer. I have no idea what that is, and I'm actually glad that I'm not too focused on a distillery right now. I'm going to really try to guess stats on this. I'm going to say this is 100 proof. It's feeling young and young wood on the nose. This could be like a 102, 103, 104. I'm going to say 102 proof. Age on this? Seven years. I say it's a bourbon. Is it finished? I'm really, the finish is what's going to throw me here. I might have to hedge my bets. Just popping in for a sec, finish, got Matt Madness timers. That's awesome, man. Channeling your inner Seattle grunge rock star. Ugh. I hope that's not a spoiler. I'm going to have to drive to Michigan tonight. That just feels like kind of a average cheap whiskey. No, I'm going to stay 100 proof. I'm going to say 100 proof. I'm second guessing. Here we go. 6 years, bourbon, no finish. The lingering, the finish on the palate is not lingering with something that feels like it was a finished product. distillery on this. This is like maybe Four Roses or Barton. I mentioned a banana note. I'm going to say Barton. This could be that Old Forester. But bottle guess, I'm going to say Old Forester 117 Warehouse H, which I know is totally different than what I guessed. Secondary grain, I would say on this is rye. And that's it. I'm going to try to do all of glass 1 at the same time. All right, let's go to glass 2 now. All right, I'll show you what is in glass number 2. Get the test card in focus. There we go. Get number 2 ready to be flipped up. And turn the head. Lift it up. This is in glass number 2. 3, 2, 1. And we're going to go down. And I'm back. All right, let's do glass 2. Glass 2. Little grassy on the nose. Feels like almost a high-proof scotch. In the way that the distillers art, Craigellachie, I tasted earlier in the stream, it has this kind of bright, scotchy intensity to it. So that's interesting. Feels very spicy, very like high rye content on this. There's something very familiar about glass 2 to me. Proof on the nose coming off like a 120. All right. There's something going on here that's like coffee, espresso, charcoal on the back end. And I don't know if that's like a toasted barrel. Could be. Toshi says, Sarah has great handwriting, very crisp. Clearly not a doctor. That wouldn't be legible. Jeffrey Wack, what is up? William Molnar is in here. What is up, guys? Adam, are you practicing some basic pours out of a rocks glass? I know, I need to do that. I have not even kept up on Matt Madness very well, so, like, that's not good. I feel like I'm slacking off, and I'm kind of scared because of that. Man, this is an interesting one in glass, too. It feels like there's a toasted barrel finish on this. Second sip is better than the first. I know I'm not reviewing this thing, but first sip felt 120. I know second sip is going to feel lower naturally. So I'm going to put my initial guess down was 120. It was bourbon. Now, I said it felt spicy on the nose. That could be because of a finish. But still grassy. I don't know what that would be. I didn't put your comment up earlier, but everything's mellow corn, huh? Oh, dude, yeah, talking about doing a shoey. Can you imagine? That's what happens tomorrow night. We have to do a shoey. God, there is something about this that is so kind of sticky. I'm going to have to say, my inclination is that this is a toasted barrel. I'm going to have to say that that's the case. It's almost got this scotchiness to it, you know? It could also be a stout finish, but I don't know what that would be. Founders You know, Bardstown Bourbon Company stout finish. Something really dark and espresso-like here. Dennis, glad your Thursday night is back and up and running. You'll crush it tomorrow. Sending positive vibes. Thank you, Dennis. I'm going to drop the proof on... am I? This feels Heaven Hill-like to me. It also feels kind of Knob Creek-like. It also could be a little Jim Beam. It is so sticky sweet. Is that Elijah Craig barrel proof? Now I'm totally confused. All right, I'm gonna come back to glass 2. I'm gonna come back to it. Not good. Cam needs to see if Stolzle makes a curved rocks glass. I know, right? Toshi, don't give him any ideas. Man. Dude, glass 2 might be Elijah Craig barrel proof like A123. That kind of covers a lot of the bases I was talking about. Except for the spiciness. The spiciness is interesting. All right, let's go to glass 3. I've got to get the test card kind of over here. Clay, no, don't even tell me that, Clay. Don't even tell me that. No hints. All right, here we go. Let's get this balanced. Please balance. Okay, so glass 3 now. Here we go. I'm going to turn my head now. So this is what we're about to get into glass 3. All right, 3, 2, 1, and we're done. Okay. Oh my God, this smells similar to glass 2. A little fruitier. What the hell, man? Oh, I hope my nose is not wildly off. This smells a little more MGP-like. God, everything is so unclear to me right now. Oh. Interesting. Glass 3 and 2 smell like maybe the same thing. Glass 1, going back to that, smells like Jack Daniel's 10-year or an Old Forester product. I'm almost like it's not Jack 10. It's not dark enough. But that's got to be Old Forester. Or something of the like, you know? All right. Glass 2. Back to that real quick on the nose. Yep. Louise, thank you for being here. All right. Glass 3. This feels reminiscent of like Magnus Cigar Blend. Oh, that's hot. Okay. Wow, that is hot. panel's coming off. It's getting hot in here. Let me see if... Make sure there's been no emergencies. Okay. All right. Glass 3, a little sulfur on this. Not super dark, but hot, a little sulfur. Man, I'm not killing it tonight, guys. I'm getting dark. I'm getting dark. No. Paul says the samples you sent me were off the damn chart. Paul, I don't even remember what I sent you, man, but I'm glad you enjoyed them. Whenever I'm sending you stuff, Paul, I've sent you so much that I never remember what I sent last time. So I'm like, all right, I got to probably send the most recent good stuff that I've gotten. And then I try to mix in, you know, some other stuff with it too. Dang, just threw the pen cap. All right, I think I have some clarity on Glass 2. I'm going to guess Glass 2 is a Knob Creek pick. 120 proof. I said 120 earlier. I said bourbon. I said it's spicy. All those things track. And I'm going to say it is... I don't know. This could be like 14, 15. I've had some 11-year picks like this. I'm going to say this is... I'm going to hedge my bets and say this is 12 years old. Okay. Secondary grain rye. Back to Glass 3. Jeb just hopped on. Sounds like a rough one for you. Pour wine instead. Dude, I cannot go bourbon to wine. It does not work for me. Paul, dude, thank you. Another $50. Another freaking super chat. That's a great clip from Dan. Paul, thank you, man. Another $50 super chat. Cheers to that. Cheers to that with Glass number 3, which is giving me hell right now. It's got that rubbery, sulfury thing going on that reminds me of a few things. 1, port finish. 2, some older MGP single barrels have this note to it. Does that clear this up at all? Glass 3 is hot. That is hot. That's like 130 proof. Wow. What is that, man? Question is like, I'm going bourbon on that again. Initially, I said it was hot. I said it felt sulfury. Thankfully, all these things are being consistent. They're tracking. I think it's pretty old. Man. I just don't know. I'll come back. Let's go to Glass 4. Let's go to Glass 4. All right, here we go. Test card is out. This card is ready. Here we go. Flip it up. Solo. There you go. This is in glass number 4. We're about to get into this. 3, 2, 1. Go down and over. Okay. Jeez. Glass 4. Ooh, Buffalo Trace product. Let's... Oh, okay, thank God. I needed something in here. I needed a pick point, you know, to base off of. And then it's like, are we Buffalo Trace? Are we Eagle Rare? This is not E.H. Taylor, I don't think. Could be Blanton's, could be Elmer T. Could be Buffalo Trace, could be Eagle Rare. Now, it could be... Now, here we go. Second guess. It could be like an E.H. Taylor, Rock Hill, etc. at 100 proof if my proofometer has been off by 10 tonight, basically. Amy, yeah, I'll remind you 1 through 3 in just a second. This tastes like mash bill 2. This tastes like mash bill 2. I'm getting that. God, it's so hard to tell. Either way, distillery, Buffalo Trace. This is a bourbon. This is not finished. Secondary grain. Rye. Age and proof. Damn. We're losing viewers. Sorry, guys. Yeah. To me, this has a little kick to it. I think it's mash bill 2, not based on that kick, which would be higher rye content in mash bill 2, but actually just based on the proof. It's not as refined as Elmer T. It's not high proof Rock Hill Farms. I'm going Blanton's on this. Age, you can never really tell with Blanton's. This, let's just call this 8 years, you just don't know. And what's the other thing I'm missing here? I mean, it's all there because I've guessed. Oh, proof 93. So I'm going to base the proof off the guess. The smart thing to do, 93 is a smart thing to do. You get points for 90, you get points for 100 if it's either one of those things. But I'm going to go with Blanton's on that. That could be Eagle Rare 10. It very well could be a shelf version of Eagle Rare 10, because it's got those grainy notes to it, which I'm associating right now with mash bill 2. Anyways. All right, Amy, I'll show you glasses 1 through 3 now, just so you have a reminder, and then maybe I can track back to glass 3 here in a second before getting on to the final one. All right, so here we go. I'll check the chat in a second, guys. Sorry. There we go. Test card is up. Oh, geez. And now it's down. And now it's up. Okay. Class 1. Ready. 3, 2, 1. It should be up now. We should be full screen. And that's glass 1. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we should be down. And okay, we're good. Let's go to glass 2. Okay, we're ready. And I'll turn, pull it up. Should be full screen now. 3, 2, 1. So that's in glass 2. Oh no, I think I'm losing the test card. Yeah. And finally, glass 3, which I need to revisit. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Glass 3. Back to glass 3. This has got to be finished. I have no idea what that is. I said 130 proof. I'm going to go to 127. Bourbon. I don't know what it is. I'm going to say it's finished. The finishing type. I'm getting young grain notes with some sort of fruit component slapped on top. Oh my God, what is this, dude? I thought earlier I said this could be cigar blend. I don't know. Let's just do it. Let's just go Armagnac, Magnus Cigar Blend, Distillery MGP, Secondary Grain Rye. God forbid, man. All right. Back to glass 4. I said this is Blanton's. That tracks. Glass 5. Last one. All right, I'm going to check the chat. Let me grab a rocks glass. Why not? Or, Matt knows that I hate Glencairns. Someone said something about Glen's bubble bath bourbon. Drink one of them out of a Glen and one out of a rocks. All right. All right. Glass 5. We'll see what glass 5 is like out of a rocks glass. Let me show you guys what's in glass 5. So, here we go. And get that ready. Okay. Up now. Let's go full screen. Should be full screen now. This is glass 5. 3, 2, 1. And should go down. Okay. Oh, hang on. Lost the test card. So that's glass 5. What you just saw. Yeah, that changes things a lot. Feels very high proof to me. Jesus Christ, that smells like cigar blend too. Oh no, that's Elijah Craig barrel proof. That's Elijah Craig barrel proof. Older batch. Palette gave that away. All right. Gotta be an older batch, right? Yeah, got the funk on it. Feels like A117 to me. Proof sounds right, 127 for A117, 12 years. Evan Hill, secondary grain barley. What else? Finish, no finish. Age proof. Type, bourbon. There we go. I don't know which. It might not be A117, but it's Elijah Craig barrel proof. Now I base my proof guess on the bottle guess, so maybe I shouldn't do that. Could be higher proof. This could be like A119, I don't think this is C919. Could be, though. Now add Coke to both. Coke to one, Pepsi to the other. Oh, Jesus. You know what? I don't think this is A117. Could be the pirate bottle. It's dusty, but it's super hot. Could be. There's no way Glass 3 is Magna Cigar Blend. I'm gonna guess that's the pirate bottle, dude. Yeah. All right, let's reveal. Let's do it. If that's not the pirate bottle, then it's like C919. It tastes like the pirate bottle. Glass 1. I said 100 to 105 proof, question mark. Finished, question mark. Bourbon, maybe, ... I thought maybe this is Old Forester Warehouse H. It's got some age to it. I bet this is not that low of a proof. It actually smells like Old Forester rye now on the nose. It's 100 proof rye. I said it's a 6-year bourbon rye secondary grain. I said it's Barton with no finish, and then I guessed Old Forester 117 Warehouse H. Gee, oh my God, bro. 86 proof? Something is wrong with me. Well, that just shows you that Old Forester products hit above their weight class, because that's... I liked that a lot. 86 proof. Damn, proofometer broken. That's good, because I thought I would underestimate proof because I'm used to higher proof stuff. I actually overestimated that by a lot. Yeah. Old Forester 86. Wow. So I would have gotten bourbon correct. I would have gotten rye as a secondary grain correct. I said 6 years old. We don't know how old this is, but it's at least 4. So I could have been maybe some points there. Bottle guess, like I was on point when I was thinking Old Forester, but man, 86 proof Old Forester, crazy. You're going to need to tune down your proofometer for tomorrow, says Joe. All right. Glass 2, I said 120. This is probably just Knob Creek 12 year. I bet that's Knob Creek 12. I settled on a Knob Creek pick, 12 years, rye secondary grain bourbon. I said it was spicy, blah, blah, blah. Wow. Is that even up here? Where'd she get that? She must have got that from the basement. Heaven Hill bottled in bond. 7 year, 100 proof, man. I overestimated. Everything tasted better blind tonight. That's not good. I hated on that bottle last 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It actually tasted pretty good to me. Damn. All right. So Glass 3, I'm high on proof on everything. So I said Glass 3 127. Was it 130 first? I said Magna Cigar Blend with all the stats that come with that. Let me see if I would change that answer. It's so fruity, man. I bet that's got to be finished. What the? Seriously? Penelope barrel strength? Oh. So maybe it tasted like that newer cigar blend batch. Oh, private select. Oh. Okay. Kind of makes sense because this is a seal box select from a few years ago called Breaking the Seal Part 2, and it's a ridiculous, easily the best Penelope barrel strength private select that I've ever had. The rest of them have been kind of terrible, to be honest with you. This thing hits way above its weight class, so it's a really confusing bottle, but I would have never guessed. No, not in a million years. So this is Cigar Blend, batch 61. I could, like, to me, this smelled like a new cigar blend, basically, which tells you something, but that's a good Penelope. I got the fact that it's a bourbon right. All right, proof, I was off by 10.5, so 0.5 away from getting a point. I said it was finished. It's not. Secondary grain rye, okay. Maybe, depends. It's a private select blend. I said MGP. So at least I knew this was MGP, but God, man. Yeah, not great tonight. So I said that was, yeah, cigar blend. All right, number 4, I said this was Blanton's. Okay. So I'll take this. Because I said at the end, this could be an Eagle Rare. Single barrel 2020. Well, it's the one I freaking started the stream with, I think. It's literally the bottle I started the stream with. I need to do a little Eagle Rare Blanton's Buffalo Trace comparison before the stream tomorrow night, because I had that confused in my head. I'll give myself that. I said 8 years, hedging my bets towards the Eagle Rare age, because I think Blanton's nowadays is much younger. 93 proof, so I'm still going to get some points on that. Buffalo Trace, bourbon, not finished, rye secondary grain. So all of that, all the stats tracked. It's just the bottle guess. So I'll take that. Last one. I called this a friggin' pirate bottle, Elijah Craig. Jesus, I was right I was right in the first place. I said A117. Oh. The whole thing about don't go against your gut is never more true than in this moment right now. I literally called every stat about this immediately. It doesn't, at the end of the day, I had everything right on this, even on my guess now, except for the proof, because all the other stats track age the same, bottle the same. I just didn't guess the exact bottle, but in a competition setting, I would just say Elijah Craig barrel proof, and that would be enough. I will take that. I will take that. A117's ridiculous, by the way. It's it's a pirate bottle at a third of the price on secondary. Get that. Yeah, man. I knew it too. So I was high on proof tonight. That's good to know. Because between tonight and tomorrow night, it's not like I can drink a bunch of bourbon and reset my proofometer. So going in tomorrow night, I should just hedge on the lower side of proof. Although this stream, what did I drink right before I went into this flight? 138.7 George T. Stagg. That could account for it, you know? So I just need to think in my mind, if when in doubt, you're probably high on proof. And it's always a different mindset drinking from your stash versus drinking something that you have no idea what it is from Matt. So, yeah, we'll see. Thank you, Amy. Thanks for the super chat. Much love, Cam Kicks and Mastermind. I'm going to do my best, but, man, I don't want to be discouraged. I think there were some good moments tonight, and I would have earned, actually, depending on the questions asked, I could have earned quite a few points. First 3 were rough, last 2 in my wheelhouse. But the first 3, Old Forester 86, never drank it. I've had it twice. And like probably ever. Heaven Hill Bottled to Bond 7-year, I just shit on that normally. Makes sense. You know, I'm not familiar with the profile. And then the Penelope Seal Box pick, I haven't drank that in like a year and a half. So it makes sense that I'm not familiar with those profiles. But the stats are where I'm upset at myself because I overshot age and proof on all of them. And then I overshot the Elijah Craig as well. Yeah. Yeah. So tomorrow night is going to be an Eagle Rare pour before the stream starts, but I call it an emergency flight right before the stream. What I always throw in there is a lot. I throw in Eagle Rare. I'm going to throw in 10 Cup 10 tomorrow night as well because I know Matt. I'm going to throw in 10 and 14. Eagle Rare. 4 Roses single barrel. I always put in there. I put in Baker's 107, which is like an off the beaten path beam product. So Baker's 107. And then I'm moving up proof right now. Rare Breed. 1792 full proof. And then a Stag Junior. That's like my normal pre-flight. So it's like 8 pours. I'm not sitting there drinking all 8, but I'm just nosing back and forth, teeny little sip here or there, trying to acclimate proof, distillery profile, because it's a range of distilleries, a range of proofs. From tomorrow night, it'll be 84 up to about 130. That's typically what I do. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Amy, I think so. John, there's no giveaway tonight. No. Gonna get back to that next week. Yeah, Keith. I have a habit of going straight to the bottle guess, but that's mostly when it's from my own collection because you cannot separate yourself from the fact that you know whatever's in your glass came from what you own. Which is why I think I actually do better on Matt Madness because it just forces me to divorce myself of that thought and just go for the pour itself, no matter what it is. My mom says, who are you competing against tomorrow? David from Shelf Turds, whiskeychannel.com. Who else is... This shows you that I've been not keeping up with the bracket. Guys, who else am I competing against tomorrow? From is it from the Chill Filtered podcast? Yeah, it's not Whiskey Wimps. I think it's from the Chill Filtered podcast. I just haven't kept up. I'm sorry. David and Cole. That's right, Cole. Scott, great job. You make it almost impossible to not message Nur in the Blind. Good luck. Thank you, man. All right, guys, thank you all so much. Thank you, especially those of you who super chatted. Paul Graham, in particular, man, I sincerely appreciate all your support. That's so, so cool. Toshi, Amy, everybody else, thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out tonight. If you haven't hit that like button, please do that on the way out, of course. If you're watching the replay, thanks for checking it out. Cool. Tomorrow night, Matt Madness. Going to be fun. Last pour of the stream I said was going to be cigar blend. So here we go. Little Joseph Magnus cigar blend, batch 61, which is not Penelope barrel strength. Private select. Although the Penelope is closer than I would like to admit. So here we go. Cheers. I'll see you guys tomorrow night on ADHD Whiskey. Last silly question: where'd you acquire your Stolzle Whiskey Nosing Glass? It was on Amazon, so I don't know if they're not there anymore. That's interesting. Keep an eye out for it, Clay, and sometimes they pop up under different names. Sometimes it's just called Highland Nosing Glass on Amazon. I've ordered them under a few different names, but it's all pretty much the same thing. Andrew Surfling says, check that Venmo. Good luck tomorrow. Andrew, man, thank you. And Adam, dude, Adam, I missed you too, man. Adam in for 50 and Andrew in for 20. Guys, thank you so much. Jesus. Adam, I'm going to lay off the wine. Adam is killing me, telling me to lay off the wine. Hang on. Andrew, should I answer this live? Intel on... Okay. Andrew, shoot me an email so I remember this. Shoot me an email. I'll get back to you on that tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Here we go. Last pour of the night. Appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow night, ADHD Whiskey.